Banks collapsing in Canada? Well, we're not talking about the same type of collapse as we actually saw in the US with Silicon Valley Bank, First National, all those big banks that actually started to go under and the government had to step in. What really happened here is TD Bank actually had a direct system failure crash. Now, where this really affected people, and we're talking about millions, is paychecks missing because their actually direct deposits weren't even going. Now, this is just for the direct consumer. Now, this has a massive effect on real estate because when people are actually closing on their mortgage, if they were getting a mortgage from TD Bank, they were not able to get these funds. And we're going to dive in how much damage and the domino effect that we actually saw here. But let's talk about the millions of people that weren't able to actually get their paycheck. We can go check and look at Twitter here, and all they got were notifications saying, hey, we're hoping to have this resolved here soon. They didn't say anything about really what was going on. On the real estate side, all they said was, hey, we're going to cover any interest over the weekend because, hey, we haven't figured this out. But there's a lot more damage here. As you can see here, everyone's saying, TD, where the heck is my money? Not even providing the value to their clients of what really is going on. As you can see here, you're never alone. Don't worry, they have your back. Well, this is just not the case as what actually happened on Friday, and we haven't even seen the damage. How many dominoes have actually affected? Today, we're not talking about the fun dominoes where you get to push them all over and they get to fall over and you get to hear that nice noise. What we're actually talking about is what is the damage that happened to all the homeowners? Because it's not just going to be the first person that bought, it could be the fifth person that actually bought. I know personally 4 people that were actually messed up because of the first person not being able to close on their home. We're going to dive into it a little bit deeper, show you how it actually works, where are people actually going to get messed up. This is not the type of domino effect you want to see. Now, what I actually want to talk about here is the bank failure at TD and why you should never have closing a home on a Friday. Now, this is something that I speak to all clients as a mortgage professional. When you're actually going to close on your home, you should never have it on a Friday. You should never have it on a weekend because a lot of stuff can go wrong. And I'm going to show you where it can go wrong. Now, in this case, this was not no one's fault. This wasn't the lawyers. This wasn't the realtors. This wasn't the mortgage professional. This was a bank not able to get the funds into the homeowner's accounts, so they actually weren't able to close on the mortgage. And it is a catastrophe. But if you didn't have this on a Friday, maybe you would have done it on a Tuesday or Wednesday. If something would have gone wrong, you may have had time to actually get it sorted out before it happened. In the case of TD here, all they said is, hey, we don't know what's going wrong. We got to go home. It's the weekend because banks don't work on the weekends. And don't worry, we'll cover interest. There's a lot more at cost here and we really need to break it down. You can see here, there's a pretty big picture of what actually goes on during a real estate deal. We're not even including a realtor or the mortgage professional in this. We're just talking about the home buyer that needs to get the funds transferred. Now, the home buyer would have been dealing with the mortgage professional or a bank and they would have actually got the funds from them. They would talk with the bank and then they give the information of the lawyer or the solicitor they're going to be using. That lawyer or solicitor then goes and speaks with the bank to actually get everything done, which is called the mortgage instruction. They would have got those signed by the home buyer. Now, on the day of actually closing, in this case, it was on a Friday, they would have submitted the documents to get the funds out. Because it's not sitting in an account, TD has to withdraw them and give them to them. When they went to do this, no bueno, it wasn't working. Maybe this happens sometimes. I've had deals where they couldn't close on a Friday. Maybe it took a few hours, we got it sorted out. This case, after a few hours, there was a lot of red flags going on. For one, we know everyone did not get their direct deposit pay, costing people bills that they may have had to pay on a Friday. Some people are living paycheck to paycheck and they need that money in their account. Now, in this case, the domino effect for this, I already know personally 4 different houses were affected from one purchase here. And let's walk through the steps here because there's the home buyer that needs to get the fund. In this case, those funds were coming from TD. They were not able to get them. They had a contract to actually close on the home that day. Now, when they're closing, the funds from the one lawyer would have gone to the other lawyer or notary. In the case, maybe the seller owns this home outright. They don't have to pay off the mortgage, but they may have also had to pay on a mortgage. We're not talking about that here. Now, those sellers needed that payment because maybe they are now going to buy another home. In this case, they don't have those funds, so they actually can't go and buy that home. In this case, they would have had to go through all the same scenarios to buy that home. That next seller would have taken those funds and done the same thing. But from right here, we stop. It can't go any further. This person can't close on the next home. This person can't close on that home. The domino effect is huge and we don't know how much this actually will affect people over the future here. Because the problem with this is when you actually have a contract of sale, you have to close on that date. Now, depending on this person, they could actually take this home buyer's deposit and say, hey, you didn't finalize your deal. Now, a person that's trying to buy another home, they're not going to be doing this. But what if that seller, they just wanted to take those funds, they were selling their home, they didn't care about anything else. They could take the deposit that was from this home buyer and they don't have to give it back. This person did not fulfill their contract. Wasn't their fault by any means. This is where TD Bank really needs to step up and actually help these home buyers. This should have been being sorted out through the weekend. I know lawyers and notaries, they were working around the clock to try and satisfy this, and it just wasn't their fault. So they would have had this money, but they actually can't get it now. So they could have said, hey, you know what? We're keeping your deposit. We might not even want to sell our home now. Now, if you take anything from this video, is please do not have your home closing on a Friday. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong, but this is just a major one. And now this wasn't anyone's issue other than one lender's, TD Bank in this case. The home buyer wasn't at fault. The lawyer and notary, they didn't do anything wrong. The lender just was not able to get them the funds. Now, if this was on a Tuesday or Wednesday, they may have had some time to get this fixed. I do think the bank should have stayed over the weekend to resolve this, because you can't just say, hey, we're going to cover any interest, because we don't know how many people were affected by this. I know one personal story where 4 homes were affected by one single purchase, because people line up their homes to be closing. So the person that was buying to the seller, they would have lined up their next home all on the same day, so everyone can move in and everything can happen in a nice fluid motion. Now, doing this on a Friday, it's just pretty risky, and this is just one case of that, and you need to make sure that you're prepared for that.